We have some major Rams updates to talk about in today's episode of the Rams Digest, like the Rams bringing in some Super Bowl champions. We're going to talk about who these players are and what the possibility of this is for them to add these guys to the roster before their playoff run begins. We are also going to discuss a player that is actually returning from injury, the impact that's going to have on the Rams moving forward. And also, there's some little brothers out north in San Francisco. We're going to talk about who that is and who said what on today's episode of the Rams Digest. I'm your host, Josh. If you don't remember, if you guys are not subscribed, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, as 91% of you guys are still not subscribed. Doesn't cost you a thing, and I get it. I can be a little stingy myself when it comes to who I subscribe to. I don't know why we do this to ourselves. I don't know why I decide to be kind of picky about who I subscribe to, so I completely understand. But if you're coming back, you're watching the videos, clearly you like what you see. Let us know that you like what you see on a daily basis with the Rams content here on the Rams Digest. Subscribe to the channel. Doesn't cost you a thing. Let's get into this first bit of news here. Rams signing Super Bowl champions. Who are we talking about? Now, we're actually talking about multiple players here, not just talking about one. And is this something that's actually going to happen? I want to make sure I emphasize this. It's not locked and loaded. It's not, of course, something that's rumored to be true or happening shortly. But it is something that I think we should pause and think about. An idea that isn't necessarily impossible, right? And I don't know, it doesn't really sound like I'm giving him much of a chance here, but this first one I want to talk about is Rich Eisen on the Rich Eisen Show, talking about his relationship with general manager Les Snead. Now, they haven't talked in a while, but last time they spoke, they did talk about the situation, right? When the Rams were on their Super Bowl run, they needed some help on the back end. They needed some safety help. And what did they do? Les Snead went out, or whoever, it was Les Snead, I'm pretty sure, right? At the time. He went out and he called Eric Weddle to come out of retirement to play 4 games for the Rams to go ahead and win a Super Bowl. Obviously, we know that was the right call. Eric Weddle, wasn't this superstar, Pro Bowl type level player, but he was a player to go out. The Rams needed a position, and at his position, and they needed a spot, someone to come and play decent football, smart football, and he did that for the Rams on that Super Bowl run. And so the conversation here that Rich Eisen brings to point to the topic of conversation is, are the Rams willing to go out and say, look, we need a little bit of help getting pressure on the quarterback? Of course, this young defense is doing a great job on their own. They have been impressive. Shout out to all the young guys, that are coming out here and playing really well. Don't get me wrong. Kobe Turner especially has been a defensive, interior defensive tackle that has really shown, hey, look, he's not Aaron Donald, but he is taking that next step in his career in just his second season as a leader, showing the young guys, even though he's a young guy himself, what it takes to kind of win some games and play hard-nosed football, right? But what Rich Eisen is saying here, and we'll pull up his actual quote here. What Rich Eisen is saying is, you just have to wonder, with the Rams at 8-6 now, at what point does Les Snead or anyone else call this man, talking about Aaron Donald, and he says number 99. At what point do the Rams call the guy, right? and it is an interesting conversation to have. It's not to say that these defensive guys aren't playing well. It's not to say that you need Aaron Donald to come save you. It's simply saying, look, Aaron Donald is still in incredible shape. We know this. He's always going to be in incredible shape, probably for the remainder of his life. He seems to work out like a beast. And so he's still young, right, in his early 30s. Of course, we've seen Aaron Donald talk in public about how he maybe isn't really have a love for the game anymore, and that love for the game isn't there to play a full season. And a lot of times I think we kind of forget that a full season is different from just a postseason. Of course, I'm not understating what these players go through in the playoffs, but the fact that there's an opportunity out there for an Aaron Donald to say, you know what, I love the Rams. He's a Rams legend. He's a Hall of Famer. He's sitting there and saying, look, Matthew Stafford's on his final run. Cooper Kupp is on his final run. This team, the way they are set in stone right now, is on their final run with a Sean McVay-led team. Can I go in there and can I play hard for 4 to 5 weeks? And obviously I say 5 because you would say you would sign him relatively soon-ish so he gets in game shape. Maybe he gets one regular season game under his belt before the playoff run begins. I think that'd be ideal for the Rams. And if you're Aaron Donald, why wouldn't you consider this, right? And I'm not saying this is something that he's talked about, maybe that he wants to do. I'm simply saying it's interesting, right? It's something that you have to kind of think about, because if he did come in and play 4 or 5 weeks, wouldn't be that much of a toll on his body, or as much as a regular season would be. Obviously, you would hope he gets to the Super Bowl. So, and then you're obviously, if you're Aaron Donald, you get X amount of money to just go ahead and compete for a Super Bowl, win another ring, and prove that you are the best defensive tackle we have ever seen in the NFL. I think it's an interesting conversation to have. Again, I appreciate Rich Eisen for bringing this forward, because I think any Rams fan would have a dream scenario of seeing Aaron Donald win another Super Bowl. Also, just having Aaron Donald there on your team again would make you feel better, right? Feel good about this squad. A little more of a heartfelt moment. Obviously, we're caring about all these guys and hoping they all are winning a Super Bowl, but you would feel nicer and really, really root even harder for the Rams to win another Super Bowl for a guy like Aaron Donald. So just an interesting conversation to have for sure. Let me know what you guys think down below. I think it's a little far-fetched, but I don't see why it wouldn't be a topic of conversation. I can guarantee you Les Snead and other people in that building are having this conversation, just like Rich Eisen is trying to have this conversation right now. But anyways, moving on to the other Super Bowl champ that we possibly can see rejoining the Los Angeles Rams. Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl champion Odell Beckham Jr. The Rams are favorites to sign or claim three-time Pro Bowl receiver Odell Beckham Jr. as he was just released from the Miami Dolphins. For those who don't know, of course, you're talking about him playing alongside DeMarcus Robinson, or if he's going to compete with anybody for minutes or snaps, it would be DeMarcus Robinson, and you would hope that if he beats out DeMarcus Robinson in that little battle, he would be that third receiver right next to Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Now, this is one conversation I think is a little bit less exciting for some Rams fans, but I'll be honest. I was at the game versus Miami. It was a tough loss for the Rams, but it was interesting. I actually witnessed this moment from a fan who was recording, and he was rocking an Odell Beckham Jr. jersey. And Odell Beckham came out, put a little ring to his finger, and the fan actually got a cool video of Odell Beckham looking right at the camera and kind of pointing to his finger as a ring, and then kind of Odell acknowledging the fans, kind of getting that appreciation from the fans. And I think that it was just a small sign. It was a very small thing that I witnessed at the Rams and Miami Dolphins game. But a thing where I thought Odell Beckham Jr. is sitting there and he's kind of thinking, I love LA. I loved it when I was in LA. I loved the fact that they brought me a Super Bowl championship. I love that I kind of rejuvenated my career here. Of course, unfortunately, had an unfortunate injury in the middle of the Super Bowl, but he had important plays in that Super Bowl, right? I think he's a big part. You ask any Rams fan, he's a big part of that Super Bowl. So I think it would be a nice, again, another heartfelt thing. Just NFL fans in general who appreciate what Odell Beckham Jr. has done in his career. To see a guy like that go out, be a third, fourth receiver for an NFL team, for the Rams specifically, a team that he won a championship with in the past, to see him go out, win another ring, again, similar to with Aaron Donald, I think it'd be a nice thing. I think it'd be interesting. I think the Rams would be crazy a little bit to not at least give the guy a workout, see what he's looking like. Odell Beckham, a guy who's always going to be kind of this, maybe you wouldn't say Hall of Famer. Who knows? Maybe some will argue Hall of Famer, but definitely this career that was very intriguing, a legend in this kind of era, at least, of his career. And I think it'd be interesting to see a guy like that compete for a Super Bowl again. Sometimes that can give players extra motivation. They play a little harder. They're getting some nice catches. They're running their routes a little harder. And all of a sudden, you have a guy who is this super, uber great, talented player playing really well at the end of his career to possibly win another Super Bowl for himself to add on to his career. Definitely would be exciting to watch. You guys let me know again how you guys feel about that. I think it'd be nice. I'm kind of leaning towards, if we're going to say which is more realistic, Aaron Donald or Odell Beckham. I think Odell Beckham is pretty realistic, and I think it's actually something that the Rams will look into. Will they sign him? I don't know, but I think they'll definitely look into it, and I think that they should. I think they should definitely consider adding an Odell Beckham Jr. to the roster. Moving on to the next bit of news here, we have injury updates as we have Tyler Higbee expected to make 2024 season debut Week 16 at the Jets. Now again, Nick Hampton, unfortunately, we see him out a season-ending injury for a pec injury he sustained versus the 49ers. But specifically talking about players returning, we are talking about Tyler Higbee expected to make his 2024 debut. And I think it's very interesting, right? Tyler Higbee is one of those players who maybe not everybody is super ecstatic about coming back. Maybe you look at Colby Parkinson and say, look, Colby Parkinson is doing fine in the absence of Tyler Higbee. But I think anytime you add another talented player who has shown production in the past for your franchise, you're going to be a little bit excited to get that guy back, whether it's in the blocking game or just in the receiving game. I think Tyler Higbee is a nice weapon that can be sometimes a safety blanket at times for Matthew Stafford, so I think that'd be an interesting addition to bring him back off of injury. Obviously, not that it's not happening. Of course, they're going to bring him back, but will he compete immediately for snaps with Colby Parkinson? I think it'll be kind of a maybe slow him into the battle a little bit. But having a guy like Tyler Higbee back, his experience, I think is definitely valuable. Now, of course, he's not a guy who's going to get you 1,000 yards. He's not a big time tight end in that sense. But if you go back and look at some of his numbers from the you see the numbers from this year, right? Nothing. But if you go and actually look at his numbers from the Super Bowl run, I think it's an interesting kind of thing to note. Now, of course, again, Tyler Higbee isn't Travis Kelce. He isn't going to go out there and dominate games for you. Super Bowl, 0 targets, didn't really play, didn't really do much. I didn't remember if he played much in the Super Bowl, but regardless of that, sorry for me misremembering. But the biggest thing I want to highlight here is 9 receptions, 14 targets on the entire postseason. That's 115 receiving yards, 12.8 yards per catch on average. No receiving touchdowns, but that 12.8 yards per catch is pretty solid, right? That's a decent, that's first downs, right? That's definitely moving the ball down the field a little bit, I think. So the biggest thing is bringing back a guy like Tyler Higbee, again, is not going to go ahead and, nothing to write home about, nothing to get super excited about, nothing to say that he's going to be, again, this Travis Kelce type of tight end for you, but I think it's a talented player, again, to bring back. You're excited to have back. I think the team is excited to have him back, and we'll see what Sean McVay had to say about it. As Sean McVay said, maybe I lost a quote for Sean McVay. Here we go. Sean McVay said this about Tyler Higbee returning. We haven't made that move official, but all things that have gone on over the last couple of weeks, we've kind of had the expectation and the anticipation that will be something that would be a move that we anticipate making. Kind of a bit of a word salad there from Sean McVay, but essentially that's kind of what we're looking at. Again, we are hoping that we can see a guy like Tyler Higbee return, expecting to return, anticipating a return, and again, I think it's good news for the Rams. Again, not going to be anything you want to get super crazy excited about, but I like having Tyler Higbee back on the field. I think it's a good opportunity to have a player who's, again, another option for Sean McVay. Now that Colby Parkinson wasn't, but I think it's another opportunity for another guy to come out, maybe a little bit fresher legs, obviously coming off of injury. He's going to have to ease his way back into the game, but fresher legs to go out there and maybe get some at least easy first down conversions on, third down conversions throughout the remainder of the season going into the playoffs. So definitely a good update for the Rams. So moving on from that, we're going to talk about this story here. Our pilot, this is a quote from Kyren Williams here. Our pilot said, "Go sweep the Niners." And when he said that, I was like, dang, we really could sweep the Niners. I don't think I've done that since I've been here. So being able to do that, knowing how good of a team they are, and knowing the history between the two organizations, it's huge. And it shows that we're the big brothers now. We're the big brothers now. Excuse me, by the way, as I have a little bit of a scratchy throat. Interesting. I never knew we were little brothers. I'm just going to be honest with you. I didn't know the Rams were little brothers in terms of this conversation. We're talking about 49ers and Rams. I think, if you're going to really talk about the historic value of these franchises, of course, you're going to look at the history of the Niners and say, sure, in the history grand scheme of things, the Niners have had this one of the more historic franchises in the NFL. But of recent, right, the Rams go out and win a Super Bowl in 2021. So I think, I understand where Kyren's coming from. But it is an interesting to kind of note. And again, I kind of talked about this the other day. It's always fun. It's always fun to see players poke a little fun at the other team, especially when we're talking about a division rival, specifically a very hated division rival like the San Francisco 49ers. Shout out to Kyren Williams for pointing out the fact that, say what you want, Rams sweep the Niners. They're the big brothers now. And that's kind of where we're at. Just a funny little story to end here. But you guys, again, please subscribe to the channel if you guys are watching. You guys keep coming back for more Rams content every single day here in the Rams Digest. We want to give you videos every single day. I apologize that it hasn't been every single day the last few days. we're trying to get back into that consistent mode of posting a video every single day. Hope you guys enjoy watching your Sunday football stress-free from what the Rams are going to be doing on the field. We get to see the Rams kind of get a couple days off. But hopefully you guys are excited to hate watch. I'm definitely excited to hate watch. I'm a Green Bay Packers, New England Patriots fan this weekend, as we're going to see the Rams hopefully see their odds increase of making the playoffs over this weekend and over these Sunday games. Again, subscribe to the channel if you guys are not already. That's going to do it for me on today's episode of the Rams Digest. I'm out.